Let's get to the main message of today, which is the world is up for grabs. We listened to Macklemore at the start of the show. Glorious. We demonetized the video. That's okay. We have no more ads on this live shows anymore. We don't need them. We don't need ads. I don't think the 30 fucking cents from YouTube is going to be worth me cutting off the show for somebody out there. So you got that to look forward to. But we're going to talk about three things here today in terms of the opportunity ahead of us and just how big this is right now. So if you're here, if you're watching this video, I just want you to take like a quick second or two and just fully let it sink in that you are right about Bitcoin. You're going to have so much. I don't care if you have 500,000 sats, 50,000 sats, 5 Bitcoin. I don't care what it is. Just understand that you're going to have so much influence and wealth in the future, as long as you figure out a way to protect that Bitcoin and earn more too. That's kind of going to be the point of this discussion today. But we have three major things that I want to talk about in terms of how much things are going to change here from 2020 halving to where we are today to where we're going to be in 2028 by the next halving. So the three main things I want to talk about today are the AI, countries, and corporations. So since 2020, since the last bull run, which we're heading into shortly, I'm thinking, it might have already kicked off here, but those three things were not around the last halving. And we went up, I think it was 11x. So people talk about the power of large numbers theory and how it's going to diminish over time here, the returns on Bitcoin. Yes, it will, but we're nowhere near that point yet. So those three things. The first one, I think I want to save AI for last because I think it is honestly the most important one. So since 2020, since the last halving, since we saw that big movement in fall of 2020 and early 2021, countries, El Salvador, what is it, the Bhutan, they're mining Bitcoin. They have like 5,000 Bitcoin. Oh, there's Arn. All right, doesn't want to say hi. The Bhutan, whatever they are, we got all these different countries not only accepting Bitcoin in their local economies, like you got Costa Rica, El Salvador, but these countries are mining Bitcoin. They're building infrastructure in their countries to mine Bitcoin. And the USA, even though a lot of people think that the USA will be the last of the game, I don't think that they will, unless Kamala steals an election. But if things go as planned, as they should, the US will not be the last to adopt it. They'll be one of the first to adopt it. So the countries is a big one. And if you think about not only mining Bitcoin, but if all countries start holding their reserves, their strategic reserves, if everybody adopts that like the US does, think about how much Bitcoin they're gonna need. And if every country on earth starts buying Bitcoin and that's what they're using to back their currencies, it's going to be an arms race to obtain Bitcoin through mining, through printing. However they can obtain Bitcoin, they're going to find a way to do it. And think about the demand that's going to come from that. So that's the big one. That's not the big one, but that's a significant one. The second one is the companies. And since the last halving, this is why we hit an all-time high before the halving for the first time, is because of the ETF adoption, the institution, the big money is here. And yes, it's cool, me and you buying Bitcoin with some extra cash that we have kicking around. And I think that was part of the reason why the price usually flatlines during the summer, is because that's when it's not only that people aren't paying attention, but people don't have that disposable income like they do in the fall and winter time. Speaking personally, I have a lot more money in my bank account in the fall and in the winter months than I do in the summer months because people are doing things. They're going on vacation. They're golfing 100 rounds a year. They're spending their disposable income on things, on experiences on the summer instead of Bitcoin. So as much as we think that we're relevant in this whole thing, the retail is fairly irrelevant. But corporations are not. The big money has officially arrived here in Bitcoin, and the ETF allows them to access that very easily. So we're seeing these state pension funds. We're seeing governments. We're seeing other companies. We're seeing big institutions and big entities start to hold Bitcoin on their reserves, on their balance sheet. And if they're not, they're buying ETF shares. They're buying MicroStrategy shares. And we've seen fucking banks buying MicroStrategy. I think it was Central Bank of Switzerland, is buying shares and holding shares of MicroStrategy. So all this big money is here now. I mean, it's able to be here now. I'd say about 2% of it maybe is here and is able to buy it right now, but it's here. So think about that. When all 330 million countries or companies on earth are trying to put Bitcoin on their balance sheet, think about the demand for Bitcoin and think about how much one sat is going to be worth at that time. And we're truly not that far away from that. I really believe that. I know there's going to be some tough times. I know there's going to be some windy roads, but I don't think we're too far away from the point where every company on earth is going to start putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet instead of holding treasuries or cash. So that's okay. I lied here. The Bhutan owns 13,000 Bitcoin. And I think that they obtained all of that through mining. So we got countries, we got companies. And the third one, and I think is the most important one here, is the AI. So we're moving into this transition, whether people like it or not, whether people care about a grocery clerk who needs to keep their job or not. It does not matter. We're moving into this new system, this new economy where robots and AI are going to be replacing most of the things that humans do. And what are they going to be taking as payment? Bitcoin. It's the only thing that makes sense. So because AIs can't go and set up a bank account, they can't go through that process of setting up a bank account, confirming they're real. If they ask for Bitcoin, that means that there's a real human on the other end of that transaction. So they might be paying each other with Bitcoin too. But the key here is that there's going to be so much technology advancement in the next 4, 8, 12 years compared to what we've seen in the last. And all of that is going to be revolving around AI. And Bitcoin miners are even starting to take note of this. If you look at the Core Scientific shares, I accidentally bought a few of them a couple of years ago. They went to like 1 cent, but they've been up like 60% in the last couple months because they're using their infrastructure, their Bitcoin mining facilities. When it's down, when it doesn't make sense to be mining Bitcoin, they shift that to be an AI data center, which is in very high demand right now. So their share price has gone up 60% after being bankrupt and being 1%. I was like, well, I'm not going to sell these at 1%. That doesn't make any sense. So the point there is that AI robotics are going to be replacing humans, right? So they're going to be taking our jobs, and we're going to be needing to pay the AI to help us with our business. Instead of having a receptionist now, you're going to have an automated assistant that takes Bitcoin as payment. Think about that. Think about the demand for sats when we get to that point. And the other part here, and I think that this one is the most important aspect of it all, which is spam, the internet, AI. All of these things are tying together. That's going to create an absolute nightmare for people. When you're looking at your phone and you're watching videos, and we're kind of almost there already, honestly. But when you're looking at your phone and you have no idea if that's really your friend texting you, you have no idea if that video you saw was real, you have no idea if this person calling you claiming to be your brother is your brother. We're almost there with AI. We're not too far away from that. That's a scary, very scary world. Because we use the internet for everything now. Everything. Within your job, within your life, within your extra time, we're on the internet. We're all connected now. And if we continue down this path, the internet's going to be a complete shit show. So what do we need for that? We need spam protection. We need Bitcoin. And when you have that, when you have the ability to say, okay, well, I have this is a big problem right now. There's a lot of people reaching out to me. I can't trust anything I see anymore of what's real, what's not. On Twitter, on YouTube, on Instagram. I don't know what's real and what's not. This is literally my nightmare. You're gonna say, okay, well, this is a new thing. If they want to send it from that account, they can verify it with Bitcoin, with a Bitcoin deposit, and we'll know that that's coming from them. They can sign that transaction, they can sign that event with Bitcoin, so we know it's coming from them. Or if you say, hey, I'm tired of getting these phone calls from everybody, these texts from everybody, these emails from everybody, I don't know who is who. You say, okay, well, you want to send me an email, you send me 2 sats, 5 sats, 10 sats. Or you're online and people are messaging you, mentioning you, following you. You want to say, you want to message me, you want to mention me in a comment, 2 sats, 5 sats, 10 sats. It's possible now. And every app that exists today and that will exist in 10 years from now is going to have a Lightning wallet built into it. So if somebody calls you, you get 2 sats, but you know it's a real person on the other end of that call or text. And the only reason why bots are able to do as much damage as they are right now in Twitter comments, in emails, in phone calls, is because there's zero cost to do it. There's zero cost to spin up 1 million bots and send them and divide everybody. There's zero cost to do that. But when a bot or somebody has to pay 2 sats or 5 sats, there's no way that they can do that, because the only reason they're so effective is you can spin up millions of them at zero cost. Once you add even a fraction of a cent to that transaction, or even a microsat, they disappear. And so if you think about how much demand there is going to be for 1 sat, 1 microsat, when every piece of data, every communication that flows through, you have to pay a sat or you get a sat for that. Think about the demand for that. So today, I think we talked about the fact that 500 sats is like 40 cents here in Canada. That's why you should be doing everything that you possibly can right now to earn Bitcoin. Every app that you can earn free Bitcoin. Every time something pops into your mind that might help somebody else, post it on Nostr. You need to be finding every single way possible to earn sats right now, regardless of the amount. That's why, 500 sats, it doesn't seem like a lot on Bitcoin. Well, but if you understand where everything's going here, once all the demand from the countries, the companies, and the AI catches up, those sats are going to be worth more than we can imagine right now. So in terms of the world being up for grabs, the world is currently owned by, like, the real estate, the sports teams, the golf courses. It's all owned by these people who are holding their wealth in an illusionary dollar. And so with Bitcoin, with everything, it's going to flip it on its head. And the rich people who fail to understand what's happening here versus us, these 37 people on this chat right now, we understand what's happening here. And there's going to be this flip where all of a sudden the money that they hold is worth nothing, and the money that we hold is worth everything. And if you understand that, it doesn't matter if you get 5 sats or 2 sats or whatever the amount is, those sats are going to be so significant in the future. And so I want you just to realize the opportunity here. I want you to take this very seriously, because it's not going to be here forever. It's amazing that we're alive at this time, but it's even more amazing that we're in this spot right now in Bitcoin, on Nostr, in living in the future. And we have all of these things at our disposal right now, all of these resources, all of these people, all of these connections that are being built right now. Don't wait for that day to come in the future. Don't wait for the time where you need to buy eggs with Bitcoin, or you want to buy a house with Bitcoin, and you all of a sudden have to find all the people that you can trust online. Start building that now. Start building that today. Get onto Nostr. Join Living in the Future, our community there, our network there. Get in there, because the longer that you're in there, it's all proof of work. Whether that's a YouTube channel, whether that's a Nostr account, whether that's your reputation in a Bitcoin network, it's all proof of work. People are going to have to trust you without a middleman in this whole thing. So you have to be taking this stuff seriously at this point. And I mean, I always say it's not a race to get there, but you can make the most miles right now. Right now. And probably in a year from now when we're talking, we're going to have half the amount that we could get today. And in 10 years from now, we're going to have a fraction of the sats that we can get today. Yes, 100%. This is why I saved that part for the last of this, because this is what a lot of people are sleeping on right now. The most underrated use case for Bitcoin is identity management. If you can't tell what is real, society falls apart. And the only thing that we can use for this identity management, for the trust aspect of this, is Bitcoin. And just realize that there's only so much Bitcoin that exists. It's not something where if there's a whole bunch of demand, if all of a sudden all these people start adopting Bitcoin, these countries, these companies, that we can just create more of it. We can't. We have no ability to do that. And that's the beauty of this thing, is that it does not matter how much demand comes from the countries, the companies, the AI, anything. It does not matter how much demand is there. You cannot create more Bitcoin. And that's why I'm telling you that we're significantly undervaluing sats right now. So take it seriously. Start doing what you can. Start setting up your life in a way where you're not only buying Bitcoin. I think the worst thing you can do right now, truly, and I've been thinking about this a lot, but I think the worst thing that you can do right now is buy Bitcoin. Let's say you go to your 9-to-5 job, you trade your fiat for Bitcoin, and that's it. You're watching videos online. You're trying to get more conviction over it. You're trying to be more excited, give you more reason to hold on to the Bitcoin. That's the worst thing that you can be doing right now, truly, because you're so close to it. You're so close to everything. You're so close to the other side of this thing. You need to be thinking in Bitcoin. You need to be working in Bitcoin. You need to be growing your networks and your relationships in Bitcoin. That's the key here. That's where the opportunity is. And the people who do that are going to have whatever they want to in this world. And that's why I titled the show, The World is Up for Grabs, because it truly, truly is.